finite resource as a crop of shit. It is a renewable resource, and oil is being used as an excuse for war, and then war profits the central banks, and, for instance, has bankrupted America in the case of the Iraq War. Virtually every big war that America's got involved in has bankrupted America. So America is a completely and multiply bankrupt country. Its constitution isn't worth the paper it's printed on. And the Queen of England writes the laws for America, and Americans pay their tax to the Queen of England. And the Queen of England is another illegitimate Rothschild in the long line of Rothschilds that have parented the British royal family and virtually created the British royal family. So Iraq has been taken over because it's an oil resource, and if America doesn't have oil, then it is in the Stone Age. And then, in turn, America is controlled by Israel, and Israel is just a representative of the central bank's social policy. So when America attacks Iraq, it's actually securing oil for the central bank, which then gives the central bank more control over all the other countries in the world.
Right.
So all the wars that have happened have either happened in drug countries, because governments love to feed drugs to their own population and then put them on social welfare, which is communism, or kill them and break up families and destroy marriages, and etc. So wars are either in drug countries or oil countries.
Right. Afghanistan, of course, the poppies began again after, when the Taliban was taken down the second time or whatnot. I don't know how long they've been going on there, but for that short period of time, when the Taliban was ruling the country, so to speak, they got rid of a lot of the poppy fields. But very soon after that, the U.S. invaded again, and now it's back up to producing standards, I guess, again.
Yeah, 98% of the heroin that gets into England comes from Afghanistan.
Right.
And it's flown there by NATO. NATO is now taking over the CIA as the biggest drug trafficker in the world. And when Japtooth Schaefer joins another country like Australia and New Zealand in 2005 into the NATO fold, officially joins them, he seals the deal with, in New Zealand's case, 10 kilograms of Afghan heroin.
Sheesh. I want to...
All the authority figures that we're looking at going, these are great figures that offer stability in the world. They're actually mafia operations doing whatever they can to destroy society, destroy families, and create wars. There's no good going on in government or central government. No benefit to any personal society.
But what is it? Why do you think that these has gotten such a strong hold of basically Earth at this point? I mean, many people are, again, that's the main question, so to speak, of course, that many people are pondering upon. What's the main idea? What is it all about? I mean, either it's about getting rid of a lot of people, or it's just about sustaining again them as a criminal family, getting more money, getting more wealth, and just controlling everything. What are your ideas about that? What's the main objective, main motive?
The main motive is to create a dead zone. Like, according to the Georgia Guidestones, they want to reduce the world's population down to 500,000 people. 500,000?
500 million, I think it is.
500 million, yeah. And there's 6.5 billion at the moment, so they want to cull 12 out of 13 people. So you've got, like, chemtrails, and they're spraying aluminium and barium and sort of bovine cancer and sheep sickness in the air. And then the aluminium floats down, we breathe it in, it lodges in the brain, and then that becomes a receptor for messages sent by HAARP, a High Active Aurora Research Project. So that's one aspect, and the other aspect is to, for those survivors, just to create a dead zone where people are just working and paying their tax and then going home and watching TV and looking at further programming. So they're looking at absolutely 100% control of the human population and 100% control of the planet. And so far they own about over 90% of the planet. So now what they're doing is they're they've already made all the social policy around the world socialistic, which is a front for communism. So in a lot of countries, most of the tenets of communism are in place. And now they're trying to take over the food sources by removing any quality elements out of the food, poisoning the protein elements like sheep and cows, and removing the natural fish source by overfishing, and then taking over the energy resources, which is to create wars around wherever there is oil, and then use that as justification for doubling, tripling, and quadrupling the price of oil. So they can only justify an increase in the price of oil if they have a war around oil fields.
Right.
And in the case of Saddam Hussein, he was an American agent, he was a double agent, and he was run by George Herbert Bush from the 1950s. Saddam Hussein's death on the 30th of December, was it 2006?
I think it was, yeah.
That was completely faked.
Well, exactly, because of the I saw this in the movie the Ring of Power, I think, and this was about the dates actually in the background, that they were ripe or yellow at the time, and this suggests that at least this was staged I think 3 months earlier or something like that. Is that what you're thinking about?
Well, it was definitely staged. I can tell you how it was staged and how badly it was staged. Do you want to hear about that?
Sure.
Okay. First of all, it wasn't Saddam, it was his doppelganger. They did the whole thing in a really small room, and they had the stairs going up to the upper platform for the hanging. Those stairs were industrial stairs with a standard lip on the tread. So if you measure the lip on the tread and the height of the stairs, that lip is about 25 or 30 millimeters. And the rise on the treads was about 106 millimeters, whereas normally it's 176 millimeters. So the height distance from the ground floor to the hanging floor was 2 meters, whereas normally it would be 2.7 meters. And the rope that he was hung with was looped on the handrail, and the handrail would normally be 1 meter high, but that handrail was only 0.7 meters high. And by the time they took the rope from the hanging position, the bit that was locked into the ceiling, to 2 or 3 paces forward to where it was on the handrail and then looped around the handrail, the rope was actually 3.8 meters long. So when they looped it around Saddam's neck, he landed with body double. He landed on the floor below with his feet on a mattress and was not hung. There's no way he could be hung. And the rope was pulled taut by other agents below, and then they had shots of Saddam with his head tilted back, swinging around with the lights supposedly flashing on and off, because it was supposedly filmed by a mobile phone.
Yeah.
But when you're hung, your neck actually falls to one side, and it actually looks snapped and broken, and Saddam's neck did not look snapped or broken. It was just tilted back in a position that you could do yourself. So there's no way that he was killed, and then supposedly his body was taken away later that evening in a coffin, and that there's no check on the body being in that coffin. And the whole thing was just a complete, utter crock of shit, and that was filmed by a mobile camera as a joke. It was heavily edited so that only the most keen eye could see that it was a total fraud.
Right, and I remember...
They even had a short person in front of the camera in the early shots so that the stairs would look full height.
Really?
All the people were chosen for their size, and it was completely staged, magical event.
I know that this actually was done also on